Hey friends, what a day, what a day. I have had good conversations today. Two totally different conversations on the selling side and the buying side, and just so much information passed back and forth. So I said, well, it's fresh. We need to talk about it. So I wanted to bring to light timelines for working with realtors.
If you've ever wondered what's really going on behind the scenes in a real estate transaction, you're in the right place. Whether it's the nail-biting negotiations, the crazy twists and turns throughout a transaction, or the moments that just make you want to pull your hair out, it's all going to be shared. I'm Brittney Frye, and I am the host of the Closing Chapters podcast. Here, we are going to talk about my career transaction by transaction since 2016. And we're also going to go through all of the golden nuggets that I've learned along the way that I would love to share with you. I want to shape your reality in real estate to a world that you can be confident, educated, and make really wonderful decisions for your financial future and build a real estate portfolio. No matter if you are a real estate investor, a first-time home buyer, or a luxury buyer, there's something to be had in this podcast. You're going to see it throughout the series that military is really my heart. That is my niche, and if you are a military buyer or seller, you will thrive listening to this podcast. So, grab a seat at the closing table and let's close some chapters.
What am I talking about? Everybody wants to know, when should I contact a realtor? If I want to sell my house, how quickly should I contact a realtor? What's the time frame before I'm ready to sell? If I want to buy a house, how early should I be contacting a realtor to buy? So that, my friends, is what we are going to hash out. Let's start with the beginning, the buying side. You can't sell a house until you own a house. I traditionally say that you're really okay to contact a realtor any point up to a year in advance when you are looking to buy. Why, Brittney? I have had the conversation very often of, hey, I would really like to purchase a home, but I just don't know that I'm ready or that I'm qualified yet. Fantastic. How do you know how to be ready or qualified? We don't really until we are getting some of our basis, having some conversations. If there's a few big things that we can go ahead and tell and identify together, then fantastic. But the best thing we can do is bring in a trusted professional in the lending world, NQ, and say, hey, here's my full scope. Here's my picture. Where am I at? And this is where I want to be. Can I get there? How do I get there? What does that look like? So that really can be helpful. And sometimes that looks like, hey, you are close, but you're not there yet. If you really want to be able to afford a $300,000 house, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And then it's up to you how long that takes to get that done. And that gives you the space and time that you need to plan and be able to move forward and have steps. So a year out can be a beautiful thing if it helps you line everything up the way that you need it to accomplish your ultimate goal. Now, let's say I have orders and I need to be at the next duty station in 2 months. Do I have enough time to contact an agent and buy a house? Yes, you do. So don't sit on it. We need 30 to 45 days for the process after contract, like after getting under contract, plus adding in finding a house, right? There's no reason why you can't purchase a house within 45 to 60 days of making contact with a realtor. Is it a little bit tight? Sure. But depending on the scenario, what you're looking for, what we're trying to accomplish, extremely doable. Now, my sweet spot is about that 4 to 6 month mark, right? I'm considering buying. I'm wanting to get my ducks in a row. I think I'm close. We have to do X, Y, and Z, but I would really love to make sure that I have everything lined up. Fantastic, okay? The other nuance to that is if you are already in the mindset of, yeah, we know this move is coming. Yes, we're ready to make this move. We're just getting the logistics in place for a couple other little small details. Then if we find the right fit and we can make it work, then we're gravy. Sometimes if we get too far out, then it can be a little bit overwhelming, or you're obsessing over the process for far too long, or we find something that you want and you're not able to take action on it, and that's disappointing. So there's a little nuance to that. Like, we need to get you in your sweet spot, what's comfortable for you in your scenario. But you really don't know what that is until you have a conversation with a realtor, especially the first time around. So ask the questions. Find a trusted professional. If you would like to ask me questions about the buying process, I am all ears. I'm here. I love answering questions. And I just had a conversation with somebody that's not in my state. So we had a very general conversation, and I said, hey, these are the things that could be different in your state. This is why we need a trusted professional for your state when you're ready. So it's really cool to be able to differentiate that, but just also make them feel confident and empowered that they are capable and they can do it, and that they have somebody that's in their corner. So that's really cool. All right, so buyers, anywhere up to 45 days to a year out is good. Can we do it a little bit faster than 45 days? Yeah, if we're pulling some Hail Marys, then let's go. But traditionally speaking, we're not cutting it any closer than 45 days to make contact with a realtor and get under contract and then get through the process and purchase a home. Okay? And up to a year out is completely healthy and normal. We can keep in touch with one another. We can be working on a plan of action. You never know when the right thing's just gonna pop up right when you need it. So it's totally okay. That is all great. Now, let's switch on over to the selling side. How quickly do you need to notify an agent of the fact that you want to sell your house? How quickly do you want to move? What's your goal? If you know that you have orders and you're 6 months out, okay, that's not a bad time to contact your agent and say, hey, look, I know I've got orders. I should be having to be at my new duty station by August, okay? So we can start backtracking and making a plan. And the beauty of that is, I just told you, a lot of times when you get in your head, like I'm shifting, I'm already ready to go, and you're looking for something, sometimes what you need falls in your lap before you're thinking it will. So if you are able to plan 6 months out, knowing that you're probably going to be somewhere by August, right? So then we are talking February-ish. Then I can be walking the property with you and giving you a honey-do list and saying, hey, these are our big ticket items that need to be addressed. And then you've got time to be trickling that out. And then come April, May, if you start looking at properties and all of a sudden there's something available, or you decide that you want to transition before school's going to start back up, then you've already had a couple of months to chew on the items that you needed to get done and be working on it a little bit at a time. So it's not so freaking overwhelming, because sometimes getting a house ready to list can be so overwhelming. It feels like so much to do in one foul swoop, while you're actually trying to pack up and move and find something on the other side. So we can eliminate that harshness a little bit if we're able to stage it out a little bit at a time. And then if we're moving up the timeline, then you're still have that one up. You still have the ability to be a little bit further ahead than if you were contacting me saying, hey, Brittney, I didn't think we were going to move until August. And then now we were talking and we really want to get the kids to their new locations. Yeah, we want to close on a house in June and it's April. What do I need to do? Then it's okay, hold on for the ride. But let's just say, hey, I only have 60 days notice and I'm going somewhere else. We can whip it into shape, right? My end all be all for listing is that I need professional photos before I can put it online. So you pick how fast that goes, right? How quickly can you get this house in working order and ready for photos? That's up to you. As soon as I have photos, then we can rock and roll. I am hard up on that. There are other agents that will probably come in and take their own photos or accept photos that you give them. I get a professional photographer for my listings because I have one chance to make it go out to the World Wide Web the way that I want it to look, the right way, the first time. Everything after that I switch or change or add or delete, it has a chance of not syndicating correctly. It's gotten a whole lot better, but we've talked about this in the past. I just prefer that it's all set and ready to go the right way the first time. There's so many times people will say, coming soon, adding photos soon. That's great, but then if those photos never actually make it when you upload it to all the right places, then it's ugh. Or somebody has that ugly iPhone photo that has your thumb in the middle of it ingrained in their head, and they're never going to come back and see the beautiful professional photos. Just my little soapbox. I require professional photography to be done on my listings because I pay for it and I want to market the properties with my standards. So, anywho, listing timeline can be 30 to 60 days out whenever you're going to be leaving. A lot of it depends on what you need to accomplish, right? Can you move without selling this house? Can you get out of the house and be okay? because there's some cool abilities there and that kind of frees us up a little bit? Or is it truly like I need to close on this so that I can make my next step at the next place? Because that's a different conversation to be had. We probably should have a bigger buffer if we can. It's a whole lot better to say, oh my goodness, we have this sucker. Yeah, thumbs up, right? We like buffers. We like space. It's a whole lot better to say, hey, I had this 90-day window. We actually got under contract in 15 days. We're going to be closed by 45, 60 days. And now I've got flexibility. I've got options. Can we extend closing, make it a little bit later? Can I rent the house back from the buyers for a little bit because maybe they're not going to be here for a little while? Or am I going to go find an Airbnb for a little bit? But thank God I have this house signed, sealed, and delivered so that I can make the move forward. That's a lot better scenario than, oh my gosh, I need to sell this house before I can rent or buy something on the other side. I'm on base housing list that's got a 6-month wait. I have got to get out from underneath this house. And then you're making rash decisions and you don't know which way is up or down. And inevitably, when you are rushing and you really have to make a move is when the market's going to do something wonky and it is not going to settle well. So anyhow, with listings, comfortably 3 to 6 months is plenty of time to be getting in touch and making a plan. And that's really nice for us too, because we can talk about the sweet spots for when you should be listing, what it's going to look like, making plans for a listing. Like some agents really like to have like a blowout weekend, like for when they're going to list it. So we're going to put it online on a Thursday, and then on Friday we're going to have an agent open house, and then on Saturday we're going to have a public open house. Maybe we're going to actually have neighbors only on Thursday night, right? You might be doing like a rollout to try to have that house open as much as you possibly can for that weekend and make it a big thing. So when we can plan backwards for that and have a hard date, it helps everybody. It helps me make sure I've got it on my calendar and that I'm acting appropriately, getting marketing together for it, whatever the case may be. It helps you because you have a hard date of, okay, Brittney's going to hold me to this because she's already got X, Y, and Z ready to go. So that can be cool. But sometimes we just need to float it. I had a scenario today where if somebody's still living in the house, it'd be better to show it once they're out of the house. They're supposed to be out by this date. Supposed to be being the operative word. So that's fine. That happens all the time. And what I looked at them and said is, hey, look, I know in your head, you're thinking, I need to have this on for summer. I've got to have this house ready. But the reality is that you can buy and sell houses any day of the year. I will list and help buyers every day of the year. There's no good or bad time to list a house. Is there a better situation sometimes? Sure, of course. But there will always be a buyer for the property. There just will. And it's okay. So that was the conversation we had is, hey, let's not fret. Take a breath. This is really overwhelming right now, but I'm here, right? You don't owe me anything. It is okay. I will be here and ready to sell your house tomorrow or 6 months from now. And I always need a house to sell. So I've had more than one occasion where agents and have told me or other clients have said, I'm so sorry, I told you I was going to be ready by X time and I'm not ready yet. And I know I told you and I feel so bad. And like, why? Why? The only person that matters in this scenario is you and what your goal is, right? Do we have a timeline for you that we've got to meet? Because if that's the case, then I'm going to try to help you hold that timeline. But if we're flexible, if you've got space and time, then I've got all the space and time in the world to wait for you. It's totally okay. I'm here when you need me to be here. And I will tell you, a lot of times the people that are fretting the most is like the people that have the space and luxury of time. And usually there's a family dynamic involved. I've had this quite a few times. And I'm like, it's truly okay. And what it really is that they're really irritated about the scenario and the lack of control that they have over the scenario. And they just feel like they're disappointing other people because they're not holding up to a specific standard or date or time or whatever have you. But I promise you, I am happy to have the opportunity to list your house any day, any time. And we can work around that. It's much better if you are able to have the space, set the house up appropriately, decide what you will or will not do with it, and feel good about it. Not feel like you were just rushed into the scenario and making rash decisions and just grumpy about the process in general. So that is my little tidbit, okay? So listings and buyers alike, honestly, anywhere up to a year out is totally okay. For listings, probably 6 months or less is good. and reasonable. For buyers, like I said, 45 days and up, we can work with that. If we're doing less than 45 days, we can roll, but it's a little bit tight. So that's your time frame, your windows on working with a realtor. Truly, that 3 to 6 month space is very comfortable for both buyers and sellers alike. That way, we are setting expectations, we have time to plan, but we're not getting so overwhelmed or so stressed out or really obsessing over the process for far too long and making it harder on ourselves. So I hope that this is helpful and gives you a little bit of guidance on what it looks like in the time frames of contacting a real estate professional.